previously you should have downloaded the GitHub files and save it in one of the folder. So for me, it's under this Anata folder. So from here, you can access all the files here. So right now you click on this introduction. Okay, so as we are having lessons like having some hands-on and all this, right? So I'm thinking you guys can just split the screen such that one half is the Jupyter notebook and another half will be the Zoom video where I show all my what I'm typing and all this. So hold on. Okay, so right now, okay, why are we using Python? Because Python is like one of the most easier, one of the relatively simpler uh, programming 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 tools to use because you have a much friendlier syntax. And before we start, here are some of the settings that you guys can do. So for example, you guys can toggle the line number so that when you are typing and you face an error, it's easier for you to backtrack. So to do so, you can go to the cell, then hold on. No. So you can Control M and you click and you type L, and you can see that the line number is off, and you press L again, the line number is on again. So here are some of the shortcuts that you can do. So you can read through. Basically, to insert a cell below, let's see, to insert a cell below, you can press the alphabet B, and to insert a cell above, you can press A. Then let's say, if you want to type print hello, and you want it to run, you can use Control Enter. This will run the cell, and if you press Shift Enter, it will run the cell and move on to the second cell. So some of the shortcuts that are helpful is, let's say I type x equal to 1, y equal to 2, z equal to 3, and you want to make some amendments for all these variables. You can do so by holding Shift, and you click, so holding Control, and you click all the numbers here, and you can do amendment at one shot. You can also split the cell by using Control Shift minus. You will split the cell into two, and you can even merge the cell by Shift M. So Shift M. So to toggle between the control mode and the editing mode, you can just click outside here. If the box is blue color, this shows that the outline of the box is blue color. This shows that it's in a control mode. So you can do copy by pressing C and paste pressing V. So if you want to edit, you just click in the box, and the box should show green color. And there are 4 different types of Jupyter Notebook cells, namely code, markdown, raw MB, convert, and headings. So for the code, this is basically the cell. Hold on. So for code, basically, if you press insert cell below, this code cell is used for you to type code. Let's say like this x equal to 1, y equal to 2. Another type of cell is a markdown cell. This is where you use HTML codes to type instructions and text. So let's say I give a header, Jupyter notebook, and press enter. This cell is just to show instructional text. It doesn't run any codes. Let's say if you type x equal to 1 here, I want to run it, it doesn't show any output here. So if you accidentally click on the markdown cell and you see something like this, don't be scared, you just click Ctrl Enter, it will get out of it. So basically that's all for the introduction part. So I will move on to the first chapter, which is the data types and operators. So basically in this data types and operator, I'm going to introduce to you all the different types of data types, namely the Boolean, float, integer, and string. So for example, let's say in this cell, you can, if you run this x equal to 1 is basically a number, y equal to open and close inverted comma, high, this is a text, which is a string, and this z equal to 2.0 is a float. Basically, float is numbers with decimals. So let's say if you use the syntax you can actually use the syntax type to identify the type of data type. So if you type open bracket x, you will get integer. And if you type open bracket y, you will get string. So you notice that you have type 2 lines, type x and type y, but it only shows the type y. This is because in Python, it always runs the lines that is the latest line. So if you you type z, it will show float instead. So it won't show the x and y. You can do that. However, if you want to show all of them, you can do that by adding print. Type y, type x, type y, and type z. It will show the 3 different classes respectively. So how do you convert the different data type to another one? Like let's say from a string to an integer. You can do that by using this str if you want to convert it into a string, int if you want to convert it to integer, and float float if you want to convert it to float. So if you run this, you can see that x is a number, y is a string. So if you print this, you will get a string for x and an integer y and a float y. So let's say you want to double confirm, you print the type y. You will see that right now the type y is a string. Hold on. So let's say you float y. Because, okay, you cannot use float y because this y is actually not a float. Yet you have to convert it into an integer. It's not an integer yet. You have to convert it to integer before you can convert it to float. So let's say integer y. float y, then you type print type y, you will get float. So moving on, so in all those that I've typed just now, those x, y, and z, all these are variables. Basically, variables are like algebras in mathematics. They store the data, which like how you do the algebra. So there's actually some rules to assign the variable names. Here are some rules. You cannot start with a letter. It must start with a letter or underscore. It cannot contain space. So if you want to create a variable name with space, you have to use underscore instead. And it should not use any reserved names such as sum, list, all these listed here, because all these have its own functions, and it will not identify it as a variable name. And to take note that all variables are case sensitive. So if you have written, let's say, a capital A for apple, and you type a small letter A for apple, you won't get the variable capital A apple. So some of the example, let's say you can give a variable name like this, underscore name, which is, let's say, my name, Le Hui. You can also use capital, but you cannot use numbers as the, let's say you cannot type 2 name as Le Hui. You will get an error. Note that you cannot add any symbols as well. So let's see, you put this, you will get an error as well. So there are various ways of assigning variables. So for a single assignment, you can just type like x equal to 1. For chain assignment, you can do so by using x equal to y equal to z equal to 1. And another kind of assignment is multiple assignment, which is you assign different values to different assignment in one line, which is quite common in Python. So how do you change the variables values? So Python operates such that it processes instruction line by line. So you can actually change the value assigned to the variables anytime by reassigning the value to the same variable. What do you mean by this? So let's say you have x equal to 10,000, and you want to have this summation, let's say y equal to x plus 5. So if you print y, you get 10,005. So let's say you want to update this x and change it to 20,000. You can just simply reassign it, and you type the same code, and you print y, you'll get 20,005 for the next one. So it's just as simple as that. So next, I'll introduce you to the operators. All these operators and punctuators are important for you if you need to use, like, let's say, apply it for mathematical and logical purposes. So here are some of the meaning. So plus is just adding of two operands of the same data type. Subtract, so asterisk is multiply. A slash is a divide. A double slash is a floor division. What do you mean by floor division? It means that it will give the value of let's say you divide 5 with 2, you will get 2 with a remainder of 1. So it will round down the resulting quotient. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, so you round down, which will give you 2. So modulus will give you the remainder. Modulus is represented by a percentage sign. And in Python, power is not the upper caret, that sign is the double asterisk. So from here you can see, if you use all these different operators, you'll get all these numbers. So you can also use operands with strings. For example, let's say x equal to apple, y equal orange. So let's see, you print x plus y, you will get apple orange, which is a summation of both of these two strings. You can do multiplication for strings as well. So let's say you print 7 multiplied by x, you will get apple 7 times. So right now, okay, basically what I have go through is just how the rules, the different type of data type, how we assign the variables, how we change the values of the variables, and how we do operations on the variables. So right now there's this practice. So given two variables, height and weight below, so let's say if we want to compute the BMI, you can, so BMI is weight in kg divided by height meter square. So let's say it's given that the height is 160 and the weight is in string, by the way. This is with the open and closed apostrophe is in string. So to do so, you can type BMI equal, you have to convert the height into meter. So this is the denominator. So you square it. So for the weight, you have to convert from string to integer. So if you do this, integer bracket weight, then you divide by the height divided by 100 square, and you run it. You'll get this. In your notebook, I think it's written as 17 point something. There's a typo error. It's supposed to be 21.09374. So you can practice on string as well. Let's say you are given x equal to a, y equal to c, and you want to print this following pattern. You can actually do so by adding a to 3c's. And to get 3c's, you can multiply y by 3, and you add up to get this a c c c, then you multiply by 2 again. So you x plus 3 multiply y, whole thing multiply by 2. You will get a c c c, a c c c. So the next one, we'll be talking about the relational operators. This is like comparing two sets of data, and will return this specific data type called Boolean, which give you true or false. So if you let's double equal means equal to. So if you notice, when you are assigning a variable, you use one equal. And if you want to compare two different set of data, normally we will use double equal. So exclamation mark equal means not equal. So all these like lesser than, lesser equal to, greater than, and greater or equal to. To print all this, you get, because x is 5, y is 3. So if let's say you want to test whether this condition is true, x equal to y, you will return as false because x is greater than y. So similarly, x is not equal to y, x is lesser than y, that is false. Lesser or equal to, which is also false, and when it's greater and greater or equal to, is true. So what about strings? Can we compare different data types? Let's see. So from this, x is a number, y is a string. So if you want to both are 5. So if you want to compare, you want to find out whether x is equal to y, when you type x double equal y, you will get false. This is because they are of different data type. So need to take note that if let's say they are different data type, but inside is the same value, you still cannot compare both. You have to convert it to make sure both is the same data type. So let's say y equal to integer 5. You get true. What if let's say we convert y into a float? It will still be the same because basically the value is exactly the same. So next we'll be going through comparing strings. So comparing string, they are actually very strict about it. So when both strings are compared, they will start from the index 0. What do you mean by index 0? Index 0, so in Python, the indexing starts from 0. So 0 means the very first character, and 1 and 2. So let's say if you want to compare this ABC greater than CBA, you'll find out that it's false. Then when you print ABD compare with ABC greater than ABC, it will give you true. Hold on. So let's say you print ABC greater than, I'll just copy paste this. So when ABC compared with CBA is false, but ABD compared to ABC greater than ABC is true because actually I don't know why. Okay, I will get back to you for this part, why ABD is greater than ABC. But for apples greater than apple is because the number of character is much, they have five letters, while this one, there's 6 letters, while this one have 5 letters. So for logical operator, let's say, is it to connect and compare Boolean values and return another Boolean value as a result of comparison. So the use of this and, or, and not. So let's say you have A as a true, B as true. So when A and B is true, so if A and B is true, it will return true. So if A is true, B is true, A or B will also equal to true. So when you say not A, it will be false. So let's say if you have alternate, let's say A true, B false, or A false, B true. When you use A and B, if you want to find out A and B, it will give you false because N returns true only if both Boolean values are true. As for OR, it will be either or. So if let's say one of them is true, it will just give you back true. Something for false, false will be the same case as true. So if both is false, A and B will be false, A or B will also be false. So in summary, these are the few data types. So we will go through 4 different data types and how we convert different data type to another form by using the type, by using the string, integer, or float. And you can find out the data type by using type, open and close bracket. And you learn how to assign the rules to assign variable names. It cannot contain any spaces, it cannot contain any reserved names, it's case sensitive, and it must always start with a letter or alphabet. And to assign, you just use assign a variable, you just use equal, a variable name equal to whatever you want to assign it to. And if you want to change, you just update in the second line. And all these operators, plus, minus, equal, relational operators, and logical operators. So next we will go to chapter 2, where we will find out more about strings, lists, tuple, and dictionary. So there are string, list, tuple, and dictionary are the 4 most common connections. These connections are data types that store multiple values and data. So for example, strings are, if we can recognize string by this double apostrophe or single apostrophe. These will be square bracket, tuples will be round bracket, and dictionary will be curly bracket. So let's talk about string first. So to manipulate string, we have to understand the term indexing. So actually, indexing is to access the subset of a collection. And it's done by using a square bracket next to the value. So for example, name is equal to Peter, exclamation mark. This is a string. So if you want to access this capital letter P, you will simply just put name, open bracket, 0. Square bracket, open, and 0. You will get the capital letter P. So indexing is always start with 0. So let's say for this example is awesome. We start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It can also be, there's also this thing called negative indexing, which can be done in label backwards, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on to -8. So let's say for the above example, Peter, you want to access the alphabet T. So to access the alphabet T, you can do different way. You can, I think I just type here. Okay, let's say name equal to Peter. So if you want to access the alphabet P, you can do so in the first way, which is, let's say we just name it first. Name 2. So it's at the 3rd position, so it's an index 2. Or you can use negative indexing, which is -1, 2, 3, 4. Name -4. So if you print first, you will get T. And if you print second, you will also get T. It's the same thing. So it depends on which one you prefer. So most people will do this positive indexing because it's more straightforward, because you can count from left to right. So let's try this example. So given the following name, Andrew Tan, so if you want to extract W from the name, positive indexing will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first will be equal to name 5. Second one would be negative indexing, which is negative 1, 2, 3. The space is considered as 1, so it will be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. So if you were to print first and second, you'll both get W. So the next manipulation would be slicing. So basically, slicing is extracting multiple characters together from a string to form another string. So let's say you're given this DNA sequence ACC, GTG, CGC. And you want to extract this portion. You can do so by using slicing, which is you write the index, open bracket the index, number 3, which is corresponding to this, and all the way, this colon sign means from 3 to 5. 6 means this 6 index is actually the character after the one that you want to stop, which is this one. So, example, let's say the codon you want to find out is GTG. So you type DNA sequence 3 to 6, and you print, you'll get GTG. You can do this in the negative indexing, which is 3 to negative 1, 2, 3, negative 3. So for negative indexing, you want it to extract until G, so you stop it at the character after it. So it will be negative 1, 2, 3. Similarly, if you, let's say you want to extract GTG, CGC, you can just do it by putting index 3 and just a semicolon. Blank, the blank at the back means the rest of the string. So if you want to find out, extract this front portion, you will just simply just put a blank semicolon and from 6, the index 6 onwards. So you'll get ACC GTG. So let's try it out. Let's say we want to extract this codon GTA from this DNA sequence. You can do so. Same thing. 3 to 6. We get GTA. You can do backwards, 3 to negative 3. Or you want to do negative 6 to negative 3. All these 3 ways can be, it means the same thing. So another manipulation would be to skip values. You can get every nth item in the list by using this format: start, stop, and step. So basically in this example, the the comment is awesome with an exclamation mark, and they want to find the string from -5, the start from -5, which is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the stop part they leave it blank, which is means from -5 all the way, which is from this whole thing onwards, and they want 3 spacing between the first character and the last character. So let's say you want spacing 3, so from S onward you count 1, 2, 3. This will be the one that you will get, which is E. So if you print this out, you will get SE. So let's try on this. Let's say you're given this random puzzle with all these random character in between the words. So to decode this, so the puzzle, let's say answer equal to puzzle. So you want the entire string. So basically the start and stop will be, you can just leave it blank. And between each alphabet, there's a step of 3. So that's 3, the step is 3. And you print the answer, and you get Anata. So that's all for string. These are just some basic manipulation. So we move on to list. So what is list? List is actually it allows us to hold multiple values in a single container. So for example, let's say you want a name list and you put the name into a list. So to do so, you open and close bracket must be a square bracket, and you just list all the names inside. So to access the elements in the list, you can do so by indexing and slicing, which is the same as string. The difference is that the indexing will be accessing each element rather than each character when compared to string. So let's say we copy this. Let's say you want all the guy's name, which is the first 3 character. So you can extract it by using this name list blank semicolon to 3. And the girl's name is the last 3, which is 3 to the rest. So and the first name is just the first one. So when you print it out, you will get this. So what if you want to access, let's say, this character A in this list? So you can do so by, let's say, we give a variable X. So to access this A in this list, you can do so by, first we extract out the name Alex. Then, now this name underscore list square bracket 0, it refers to Alex. So now you can treat this as if it's a string. So we want to extract the A, you put another 0, and you print X, you will get A. So you can basically zoom in into every single one and extract the individual character by doing double indexing. So let's try out in this example. So let's say given the list of fruits, apple, cherry, orange, banana, lemon, watermelon. So we want to extract the fruits that are yellow in color. So the fruits that are yellow in color is banana and lemon, which is at the index 3 and 4. So you can do so by just simply, okay, right now I'm just trying to print out this exact same word here. So you want to print out, let's say this is a string and you want to print another list. So you separate it by a comma. So to extract out the banana and lemon, simply you can just do 3 and 5. Notice that it's 5 because this is the from 3 to 5 excluding 5. So you will get this banana and lemon. So how do you change the value in the list? Let's say you want to change this name list, the above name list. You want to change the name Alex to Simon. So you can do so by just simply replacing it, just like how you replace a variable. So list underscore name underscore list 0 is Alex. So you're just changing it to Simon. And that's it. This is how you update the list. Now the new name list will have Simon instead of Alex. So for this example, okay, you want to replace the cherry to grape. Same thing. Fruits. Cherry is at index number 1. So fruits index 1 equal to grape. And you print fruits. And you get this answer. So to check if the value exists in the list, you can use the keyword in, and it will give you a Boolean value, false or true. So this keyword in can help you check whether, let's say you are given a list that has hundreds and thousands of elements, you can use this to check whether the thing that you want to find is in this list. Another manipulation is to calculate the length of the list. You can do so by using this syntax called len. So if you print out, let's say, length of weekdays, there are 5 elements inside, so it will just give you 5. So let's try it out. Let's say back to the fruit example. Let's say given all this list of fruits, and each fruits are $2. So if you want to calculate the total price, you can do so by, let's say, total equal to 2. Each fruit is $2 multiplied by the length of the entire list. So it doesn't matter how long your list is. You can just straight away, it will just tell you, you can just find the price straight away. So let's say print total, you get 12. And if you want to add this symbol, dollar symbol in, you can use open, close, plus total. Plus string total. So the difference between comma and plus, let's say instead of using just what I did just now, I do this. If you put string, comma, and total, these two will be separated by a space. But if you want to use plus, you need to make sure that both are of the same data type before you can use the plus. So you have to convert total, which is a number, integer, into a string first before you can add them together. So these are the difference between this plus and comma. So how do you add an element at the back of the list? Let's say you can do so by using this dot append. Say given that the list called week, and inside there's Monday to Friday, I want to add Saturday and Sunday into it. So if you can do so by appending Saturday, then append Sunday again, then you print week, you will get this full list of the week, Monday to Sunday. You can also do so by adding a list name inside with Saturday and Sunday, and you can do it in one line. You can get the same result. So to remove a value from a list, there are two ways. Firstly, you can use dot remove, or you can use delete. So the difference between dot remove and delete is that dot remove the very first, it remove based on the given value. So let's say you want to remove Friday from the weekdays. So you can put weekdays dot remove, open bracket, Friday. So when you print out the weekday, you will get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Do take note that let's say your list has multiple of the same element that you want to remove. Let's say, for example, this grades list, there's 2A, 3Bs. So let's say you type grades.remove A. You will only remove the leftmost appearance, and this A will not be removed. So the output will be just the remaining one, excluding the leftmost. So you have to take note of this. So for delete function, the difference is now that delete remove a value based on the index, not the value. And the syntax is placed in front of the list variable. So let's say you want to delete Monday from the list weekdays, you type delete and weekdays and the index of the Monday, which is 0. So that's the difference. So given this example, let's say given there's two lists of items, stationaries and furnitures, and you want to delete the item that do not belong to the list. So you can do so two ways. I will demonstrate for stationaries. You can do so by removing table, or you can do so by removing the very last one. If let's say you are very certain it's the very last one and you want to count the indexing, you can just put -1. Hold on. And if you print stationaries, okay, so this is the mistake that I've made. So in the first line, I've already removed table. So in the second line, if let's say I put delete -1, the stationary list only left with these 4 elements. So it will remove the last one, which is ruler, and will leave with these 3 elements. So to take note is, if let's say you have removed one element from the list, be sure that let's say you want to change what you want to remove, you have to make sure that you have a copy of the original table, the original list. So maybe you can store a temporary equal to stationaries. Then you can put we can update with another variables. X, let's say X equal to temp remove table. So if you print X, hold on. Temp dot remove table, then S equal to temp. So if you print X, you will get this list without the element table. So what I do is to store the original list into a temporary variable. Then I remove it and set it to another name. So in this way, you won't mess up with the original one. If you need to, let's say, access back to the original list. So the next manipulation is sorted. So sorted actually can use to sort the list in the ascending order. So if you want to sort it in the descending order, you have to add this extra parameter called reverse equal true. So for example, this number is equal to this list. So if you sort it, you will sort it to descending order for the first one and the ascending order for the second one. Okay, so the next one will be tuples. Tuples is basically the same as list, just that it cannot be edited. What do you mean by cannot be edited? So when you set a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, so whenever you want to, let's say you want to update it, you cannot do that at all. So example, let's say a tuple equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, you want to add 5 to it, or you want to remove 1 from it, you will receive an error. So the use of tuple is actually to, let's say in an operation you want, like the values is like very important and you don't want anyone to mess up with it. So to make sure that no one mess up with the values, we can use tuples. So to convert list to tuple, oh yeah, take note, tuple is in round brackets and not square bracket. So to convert the list to tuple, you can simply just use this syntax tuple, tuple bracket, and you put the list name inside. And you can convert list to tuple. The next thing is dictionary. So dictionary is characterized by this curly bracket, and the difference is it contains a key value pair. So it's just like a normal dictionary. The key is, let's say, the word, and the value will be the meaning of the word. So you'll be learning how to create a dictionary, access values based on the keys, updating the values, and adding new key value pair and deleting. So let's say to create a dictionary, let's say I want to create a dictionary with the key basically is the name and the values to be the test score. So to do so, you can do so by doing this. So you type class underscore dictionary, open close curly bracket, and you type one by one the key and a semicolon and the value. So this value is assigned to this key, and this value is assigned to this key, and this value is assigned to this key. And the assignment is unique. So basically, you cannot have two Abigail in the same dictionary. Let's say, for example, I put another Abigail, but let's say the score is 90. And you want to print the class date. It will only show the latest one. And this one will not be shown because there's only one unique, every key is unique in the dictionary. So if you want to access the values, you have to access based on the key. So let's say the dictionary has this key 1 with a value O value. So you just put the square bracket, the key name, it will get the value. So, okay, this example, so I put back the original example. Okay, this is the original class list. So let's say you want to access Abigail's name, the marks. You can do so by doing class date underscore date square bracket Abigail. You will get 80, which is the marks that it has. So let's say you want to update the value of the keys. So let's say you realize that Alex, the test mark is marked wrongly. It's not 60, it should be 65. So to update it, you can simply just assign it. So class date Alex equal to 65. So print class date. You'll find out that the marks has already been updated. So next, let's say you want to add another key value pair into a dictionary. Let's say I add this key 2 with a value of value into this original dictionary. You can just define a new one and equate it to the value. So you will get the new updated dictionary. So let's try it on this. So the original list is 3 students. I want to add this student Nicholas with a score of 85. So you can do so by adding this student Nicholas and give the score. So if you print class date, you will get the new updated list. So to delete the key value pair from a dictionary, you can only use the delete function. There's no like remove like the list. So you simply just delete the key and the key value pair will be completely deleted off. So let's say the teacher realized that Nicholas is not from his class. So we want to delete Nicholas away from the dictionary. So you remove Nicholas and you print the class dictionary. You will get this with Nicholas being removed. So there's also nested collection, which means that you can have a combination of a list of dictionaries or a dictionary of lists. So this is one of the example. Let's say you want to represent a personal information of this format. You can represent it in a list of dictionary. So within each list, within the list, there's 3 different dictionary, and within each dictionary, it has its own key value pair. So to access, let's say you want to access the very first student and the gender of it. So you can do so by using this index 0, which is the very first dictionary. This will access the dictionary here, and then you want to know the gender, and there you go. Print. Oh yeah, haven't defined this yet. Hold on. I have to define this first. Yeah, it will get mail. So that's all for collection, strings, lists, and tuples. Now we move on to the next one, which is loops and if else. Okay, so for loops and if else, so the basic concept of if, the syntax of the basic if statement will follow this structure. So you start off with an if, then you write some kind of condition using the, let's say, if I equal or greater than 5, then you end off with a semicolon, then you write the statement block below it and must make sure that it's indented. So if the condition is true, then it will move on to this indented statement block, and whatever code is written there will be run. Otherwise, if let's say the condition is false, whatever written inside will be ignored. So this is the logic of the if statement. So let's say there's this certain condition and it's true, it will run the code under the condition and will give an output. So let's say if it's false, it will ignore it and will move on to the whatever code that you've written afterwards, or any other conditions. So one example is, let's say if x equal to 4, y equal to 5. So if x is greater than y, you print hooray. Then if x is less than or equal to y, you print yay. So if you enter, it will only show yay because x is lesser than y. So this condition is false. So it won't run this particular block of code, which is print hooray. You can have, you can actually represent this line into one. You can actually create a double condition. So let's say if x is less than y and x is less than or equal to y, then you can print this. Let's say for another example, if x is less than y, let's say we have z equal to 3. So what I've just did is I use control, I highlight this part and control question mark. You will change a code into a comment. If x less than y and x greater than z, you print yay. So basically, for this code to happen, it has to satisfy these two conditions. Just like what I've taught just now for the logical operator. Both have to be true, then it will run this code. So usually the if statement also will be used together with else. Let's say, so that you can account for other conditions. Let's say if this Albert score is equal to 70, if Albert score is greater than 60, you print good job, else you try again. So let's say it's good job. So if we change this to 50, it will print try again. Let's say if there's multiple conditions that you want to give, you can use this else if, which is the ELIF. So let's say for this, the Albert score is 60. So if it's greater than 70, you print good job. If greater or equal to 60, you print good try, and or else you print try again. So if you run this, you will get good try. So what if we change the order to reverse it? Let's say if Albert scores, let's say we do it reverse way, less than 70. We do the same thing. Hold on. Instead of greater than, we change it to lesser than. You'll get great job. You won't run through this loop. Although Albert score is 60, which is less than or equal to 60, but you go through the first condition first. Let's say if Albert score is less than 70, it will straight away print the great job. And it won't go to the next condition, even though it fulfills the next condition, which is less than or equal to 60, which will print good try. So when you want to write the if else statement, you have to make sure that there's no like a subset of condition within the condition itself to avoid this kind of problem. Next, to break out of the if loop, you can choose to break out of if loop by applying a if. The example, let's say for a while, okay, hold on. This one is talking about a while loop. So let's say there's a while loop here. We're trying to say, let's say if it's raining is false, then you print it's not raining. Then the counter will increase. And when it increase until it's more than or equal to 3, it will stop the loop. So basically, if statement can be used as a condition to stop any loop, let's say a for loop or a while loop. So let's try it out using this if else statement. Let's say you run an input asking for a number and store it into a variable. Then if the input is even number, you print even number. If not, you print odd number. So this can be done. Okay, so to ask for input, maybe set a random variable x, then so input. So this input must be an integer. So you have to write integer, open bracket, input. And you ask the question here, which is to insert a number. Then you create the if statement, if x. So to find out whether it's even number, if you divide by a 2 and the remainder is 0, it will be an even number. So you just do this condition. Or else, if let's say the remainder is not 0, it will naturally be an odd number. So if you run this code, and let's say you insert a number 21, it will give you odd number. Well, let's say if you never put this integer conversion in front, you'll see that, let's say 21, you'll get an error. This is because to do this operation, you have to make sure that x is an integer so that it can do this specific condition operation. And by default, when you use input, it will save whatever input into a string instead of an integer. So you have to convert it into an integer. Then you can proceed on with this condition operation. You can do it otherwise. Let's say it's equal to 1. It will be odd, else even. Both mean the same. Will give the same result. Okay, so now we talk about, now I finished the if statement. Now we talk about the loops, the for and while loops. So there are actually 4 general steps to create any loop. So you have to firstly initialize the loop control variable. This can be a counter, it can be a list, a dictionary, whatever. So this variable will dictate whether you were to stay or exit the loop. Next, you have to have a control variable, which is a condition for you to check whether you want to stay or exit the loop. Then we have this body of the loop, which is the statement, which is the code that you will run if this condition is true. Then you will update and you will repeat until the condition doesn't fulfill, then you will break out of the loop. So there are 2 kinds of loop, which is the for and while loops. So before we go into the loops, I will introduce this idea of increments and decrements. So most of the time, all these loops will need to have some breaking condition. So for an increment, you can do it by using this plus equal. This is basically equal to counter plus 1. Basically, it's self multiplied by add by 1. Counter minus equal 1 would be a decrement, which is itself minus 1. So let's say we print this, you'll get 1, 2, and okay, this because you added 1 to it, so the counter is 2. So when you minus 1, you will get back 1 again. So we go for while loop. Okay, while loop work by looping around a certain segment of code if the given condition remains true. So let's say below the condition is equal to 1. This is the condition statement, which is the very first one, the control variable. So this is the testing control. So this is the conditional statement. So while condition is less than 10, you put a semicolon. Then make sure there's an indentation here. If you see that it's red color, it means that it's not indented properly. So you do indentation by using tag. So let's say while condition is less than 10, you will print condition. So after that, it will increment by 1. So this while loop, when you run this while loop, it will keep printing condition and add it until this condition is equal to 10 or more. Then it will stop the loop. So let's see. You print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when condition equal to 9, you will print 9. Then the condition will plus equal 1 to get. So this will become 10. And when this becomes 10, it will break out of this loop because it is not lesser than 10. That's why it only print until the number 9. So for more example, so that while you're using while loop, you have to be careful that you must make sure there's a breaking condition. Because if you never give any breaking condition, you will find out that you will have this infinite loop that it will not stop. So let's say if you run this, you will get, there's no any breaking condition because while true, you will just keep printing this. So this loop will keep going on and on and on, and it will not stop. So to stop, you press Ctrl C. Ctrl C. Does it stop? No. You can just press this and it will stop. When you see there's an asterisk going on here, it means that either the code is taking very long to load, or it means that there's an infinite loop going on. So you have to be careful of this. Make sure that there's a breaking condition so that it won't go on and on and on, then it will hang your whole PC. So let's try this following example. So you create a while loop that counts the number of people entering a room, which can only hold 5 people. So when a person enters the room, you will print welcome, and when it reaches 5 people, you will print the room is full, please wait. So as usual, for a while loop, most of the while loop will start with a counter, most but not all. So we start with 0. So while count is less than 5, we print welcome. So when the first person enter, it will print welcome. So we should start with 0. Okay. Then when the person enter, you print welcome, and the count will increment by 1. So when it reaches 5, you will break this loop, and you will print this following: the room is full, please wait. So you will get 5 welcome. So when the first person comes, you will print welcome, then second, third, fourth, fifth. So when reach 5th, you will welcome. When the 6th person comes, you will give this comment called the room is full, please wait. So that's basically the while loop. Next is the for loop. For loop, basically we use it to iterate, to do repetitive tasks. So basically to iterate through a block of code for a number of times specifically. So there are various to do so. I'll introduce you to this thing called range. So for example, for I in range 5, you print I. So what exactly is range? So range 5 actually generate a list of numbers from 0 to excluding 5. So it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you will get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how to use range? So basically range, you can consist of start, stop, and a step parameter. So you can define where it start, where it end, and how it want to increment it. So let's say for this, for I in range 2, 10, 2. So it start with 10, so it end with 9, start with 2, end with 9, and there's an increment of 2. So let's say what you get. So you get 2, 4, 6, and 8. For this case, from 0 to -5, this is actually increment backwards. So when you print it, you will get 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, excluding -5. You can also iterate through a list. So let's say this grocery item, inside there's 3 elements. One is a string, a number, and a boolean. So for each item in this grocery list, you print items. So you will get these 3 items respectively. So you can also use the length method to iterate through a list. For example, you can use for I in length of grocery items you print grocery items you will get for I know my mistake. From range length grocery items plus 1 in donate. So the length of grocery item, there are 3 of them. So you will generate a list from 0 to 2. Then you print grocery items Oh, my mistake. It should be a square bracket. You will get the same thing as well. So for try it out 3. Let's say, so for this example, using a for loop, calculate the items in the list and represent the number count in the dictionary. So from this example, you can see this list has quite a few repeated items. So to do so, we have created an empty dictionary list. So when we have found that the item is not present here, we will add it in and we'll count it. So if it's repeated, it will add 1 more. So how do we do this? So for I is just a random variable in X. So it will iterate, it will go through every single element one by one. So for I in X, you set a condition. If I is not in count date, so in this condition, if let's say I is not in the count date, so you add this key into this dictionary. So you have to update the dictionary by adding this key will be equal to 1. So let's say you run this loop for I in X. We will run this apple. So apple is not inside this count dictionary. So it will create a new key value pair, which is apple equal to 1. So this value will be the count. Else, so if it's not inside the dictionary, the other condition would be I is in the dictionary. So if let's say apple is already in dictionary and it appears again, so you will add on the count. So count the dictionary plus equal 1. So basically that's how you do it. So if you print count date, you must remember to put a colon every time you type if else or for while loop. You will get this dictionary count. There are 1 apple, 1 pear, 2 orange, 1 pineapple, 2 lime, and 2 lamb. So that's it. All these are additional exercise you can try it on your own. The answer will be uploaded after this lesson. So you can give it a try it's quite, you have to think through how you're going to do this. I will move on to functions. So let's say, what is functions? So basically, there are actually three different types of functions. There are built-in function, user-defined function, and anonymous functions. So built-in functions are functions that are already created inside the Python. They are like, let's say, the length of the list. All these are built-in functions. And let's say type. All these are the built-in function. And user-defined functions are functions that we define on our own. These functions are used, the reason why we define a function is because we have to maybe carry out a set of instructions repeatedly. So you have to, instead of copying down the entire chunk of code repeatedly, you can use it as a, you can use a function instead. So I will go through the built-in function first. So in this link, there's actually a list of all the built-in functions. So you need to be aware that when you define a user-defined function, you shouldn't use any of this built-in function to name the function. So all these are the built-in functions. So you can try all the different built-in functions on your own. So we will focus on the user-defined function. So to create a function, you have to follow these 4 steps. So you have to use the keyword define. So basically you define a function name, you open bracket it, and make sure there's argument inside. There are different functions. Some functions can have multiple arguments, some functions can have 0 argument. It depends on what you want the function to be. So after that, you have to add a colon, which is not written here. It's supposed to have a colon here. Then you write whatever code that you want, and you return the result that you want. So for example, for this case, you define the function print something thrice. So the parameter is a text. So what the function does is it print the text 3 times. So let's say you want to print this word name, and you run, you'll get 3 times. Function also can take in no arguments. So let's say there's nothing inside this front bracket. So let's say you define this function, and what this function does is it will ask for the input to enter your name. Then it will print out hello, your name, or else you'll print hello world. So let's say you want to call this function n equal to hello, and you run this. So you type the name Anata. It will say hello Anata. Then this written name, it will return this name that you type. So it will print out hello, the name, followed by return the name that you type. So let's say you type nothing. Let's say you run, you leave it blank. You will only type hello world. Because for this condition, if name, let's say name is you didn't type anything. So this condition won't fulfill. You will move on to this else condition, which is hello world. And when you return name, there's no name to return, so it's nothing. So you just get hello world. So the function can also take in a list of numbers. Let's say you define average, then the parameter is a list. It can be any name, you can put X in, not necessarily be a list. You can change X. So if you call, let's say you define number as a list of number, and you use this average function. So when you print it out, you will get the average number. So in Python programming, normally in a function, we will use this dot string to describe what your function does, so that other people will understand what your function does by reading it. So it's different from functions. It's different from comments. Comments is this hash. If you put this triple open and close comma, it will show this. It will just, this is like a, tell you what does it does. So basically, in this hello function, what it does is just print hello world and return nothing. So this dot string just tell you what exactly it does. So when you print it out, it's just hello world. So there are 4 types of arguments that Python can take. Default argument, required argument, keyword argument, and variable number argument. So default argument would be, let's say we set b equal to 2. This, when we preset a b equal to 2 inside an argument, this will set it as a default argument. So let's say if you type print plus then 10, this 10 will, by this 10 refers to A, and B will be default 2. So when you type print plus 10, you will get the, hold on, I will just comment this off. You will return 10 and 2. And let's say if you redefine the argument, let's say we type A equal to 1, B equal to 3, you will overwrite the original parameter, and you will get 1 and 3. And B is no longer the default value 2, it will become 3. So let's say if you write print 4, 5, it's the same thing. You can don't need to define it this way. You can just write the value straight away. But error will occur if you just give b equal to 3, because it taking 2 arguments and 1 is already in default 2. So if you just put print plus b equal to 3, you won't get anything. You'll get an error, because this by should define A and not B. So for required argument, let's say this function require 2 different arguments, and for this function to work, you have to put in these 2 arguments, because there's no default argument returned in the first place. So in this function, you just perform the division. So let's say you print divide 8 2, you will get this, and divide 2 8, you will get this. If for any case you forget to put the second argument, you will get an error, because this function requires 2 arguments. So this is what we call it required argument. Keyword argument is, you make sure that you call all the parameters in right order. So you can use the keyword argument in your function call. So this is to identify the argument by the parameter name. Let's say, for example, you know that the argument is A and B. You can define A equal to 1, B equal to 2, or you want to put it at a different order, B equal to 2, A equal to 1. You will still get the same answer because you use the keyword and you set it. So no matter what is the arrangement or the order of the parameter, it doesn't matter because it follows the keyword. So variable number of argument is that you don't know exactly how many argument you have. So you do it by adding this asterisk aggregate. So let's say you give plus 1452, where we just return the sum of whatever return inside. Next is the anonymous functions. Anonymous function basically is just a function you create that you have. Let's say you just want to use it once and not just for the single purpose and not to use it repeatedly later on. So how you do this is you have this lambda keyword, you write the arguments and then the expression. What it does is, so double will be the function. So when this function basically return x is the input and this is what it does. So basically, you let's say put double bracket 5 and you print it, you get 10. So you can do triple. Let's say you create one function called all numbers. Equal lambda. Okay, I forget what I was to say. Never mind. So it's just using this. So in this function is just a temporary function. It's the same as you define double x and you return x squared. It means exactly the same thing. So you can use a nominous function when you require a nameless function for a short period of time that's created at runtime. So let's say for this example, you give sample with a list of number and you want to apply this function sample and you want to map out all the answers. So basically you want to list down all the answer by apply samples to this function lambda and you map it out. So basically this is what this function is trying to say. So you type the function lambda and you type the list name at the back. Then you will get this answer. So basically that's all. This exercise you can try it on your own. The answer is given here. So that's all for functions. Okay, if you guys have any question, you all can type in the Q&A or you all can speak it up. You can on your mic and speak. So, okay, right now I actually created a Kahoot. You guys can go and try it. There are a few questions that I've created. You all can join the Kahoot. The game pin is 3183504. You go kahoot.it, then you type the game pin. Is there any more? Okay, I think I can start. Okay, this is very straightforward because you cannot have this hyphen here. Okay, next. Okay, this is also very easy. The square bracket is the list, and the rest is not. This is a tuple. This by right is a set, but it's not very commonly used, and this is nothing. The answer is error because, hold on, how do I see the question? Because for just now the question, there's no index tree. It's out of the range, so you will get the answer error. Hold on. I will go through the answer later. I will move on first. Next. All right. Okay, I will go through every single question. So for the first one, hold on. Okay, for the question 3, because the list only gives 3 elements, so when you update x with the index 3, which is out of the range, so when you print x, you will get an error. For question 4, so for this question, so for I in height, height is 140, 145, 130, 134. So if I is greater than maximum, the I will equal to 1. The maximum will equal to I mean. So the maximum will equal to 140. Then when you move on to the next one, you're equal to 145. Then when you move on to the next one, 130. 130 will not, 130 is lesser than 140. So it's not greater than maximum. So you'll reset the maximum to 0. So when you move on to the next one, it's 134. It's greater than maximum, and it will be 134. So the answer is 134. For question 5. For question 5, wait. So for question 5, this function, the argument is small x and small y, and the small x outside is defined as 4 and 2, and y is 2. So inside this function, this capital X is equal to this small x, which is 4. But internally, it has defined this small x equal to 1. So when you calculate this total, it will be 4 times 1 plus 2 times 1 plus 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, is 8. So it will be 6 plus 4, so the answer will be 10. For question 6. For question 6, this list is 10, 19, 34, 56, 31, 12. So for every element in this list, so it will run, so the count is 0. So if I is greater than 0, then I is greater than 20. So when you first run the first element, I is 10. So it's not greater than 20. So it won't add on. We will move on to this else. So this else, there's this condition while I is greater than 20. Hold on. I think there's a mistake in this. Yeah, well, I is greater than 20, I plus equal to 5. So it also doesn't follow this. So it will move on to the next one. So I greater than 20, 19, I equal to 19. So it's not greater than 20, it will follow this. So the while is I greater than 20, it doesn't follow this. So it will break out of it and we'll go for the next loop. So the next loop will be 34. So hold on. I think I tried typing this out. I think there's a mistake in this question. There's a mistake in this question. So I will just remove this question. There's a mistake in this question. Because these two conditions is the same. So there may be some problem in this. So question 7. Question 7, option 1. Okay, for option 1 is wrong because for a dictionary there's no append function. So it will be wrong. This is the correct answer. Because if I is not inside this count dictionary, it will define it as 1. Then if it is inside the dictionary, you add 1 more. For this one, the problem is with this incrementation. So this count is outside of this for loop. So let's say when you run I is equal to pen. Pen is not inside the count dictionary. So this count will plus equal to 1. Then the count dictionary will equal to 1. So this thing will be equal to 1. So it will move on to the second one, which is pencil, which is not inside the dictionary. Then the count will increment by 1 again. So now it's 2. But then it will equate the number of count of pencil to equal to 2 instead of 1. So this thing, the order is wrong. So this thing is wrong. For this one, the last one, same thing, the count equal to 0. This time around, the count is inside this loop. So if I is not in dictionary, same thing, it will increment by 1. So the dictionary will be equal to count. So pen will equal to 1. So when we move on to pencil, this still remains, this will reset to 0 again. So because it start a new loop, so the count will be back to 0. So when so pencil is not in the dictionary, it will plus 1. Okay, so pencil will be equal to 1. So it carry on until this pen, second one. So this second pen, when this second pen run through this loop, it is in the dictionary, so it will skip this part. Count is still 0. So else count dictionary I will be plus equal count. So it will reset the count of pen back to 0. So the last option is wrong. So the answer is this one. Okay, so that's all for today. Actually, I did quite a bad job. It's not really prepared. So is there any feedback on how I conduct this? Like, should I be much clearer, the pace, the clarity, the tone, and maybe the content? If you all got anything to voice up, I think I should stop sharing.